It's great to be here. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks. Thank you. I write songs for a living. I've written songs for Keith Urban and Toby Keith. Yeah, they didn't do them. That part of it never. That part never manifested. But it's good to be here. I just got back from Ohio. Ohio people? They got a lot of Amish people in Ohio. Yeah, and I met some Amish alcoholics yeah. I mean, when they fall off the wagon, I'm not kidding, they fall. A couple of weeks before, I was in a state, and I don't want to tell you the name of the state because I love the state and I play there once or twice a year, but I got off the main highway for about 30 minutes and I got into I mean, the whole town could floss with a number 2 pencil. It was, I'm getting older and I don't mind. I like growing up when I did. I can't even claim middle age anymore, unless I go Old Testament, live to be 118, you know, I'm pre-internet old. I'm pre-compact disc old. I am pre-put a quarter in the Pac-Man machine at the pizza parlor when you're in the 8th grade old. I'm pre-cassette tape old. And the only knowledge you needed to be an IT person back then was a number 2 pencil to put in the cassette to roll up the I am 8-track and rotary dial phone old. That's how damn old I am. And when I was growing up, I grew up in Odessa, Texas. If you've ever heard of Landman or Friday Night Lights, that's my town. And my phone number growing up was 362-4224, which is pretty harmless. And but in the 8th grade, underneath the bleachers at the high school football game, I got to kiss Becky Robinson, and she was just awesome. And she gave me her phone number afterwards, and it was 8990, which ironically is longer than 079, and I just don't have that kind of time for a relationship. I mean, I'm a young man trying to discover who I am and what I like, and I wanted to embrace my youth. So a few months ago, I bought a box of Captain Crunch. Yeah, and I went through truckloads of that as a kid, you know. And so I poured me a box of those evil little razor rocks, and those sharp-edged, barbed wired bales of hay, disguised as innocent golden pillows. I like having a bunch of piranhas in your mouth. Second bowl, there's crimson in my spoon, and I nearly didn't have the third bowl. But I knew I was getting old. I Googled Jack and Diane. It's 43 years old. Came out in 82. They are not the same Jack and Diane as they used to be. Might need y'all's help during the chorus. Little ditty about Jack and Diane. 2 American seniors doing the best they can. Jackie's gonna be a football star. Now he wears a catheter, keeps his teeth in a jar. All right. sucking on chili dogs outside the retirement home. Diane sitting in Jackie's lap, got her adult diapers on. Jackie kicks back to collect his thoughts for a moment, then realizes it's getting hard to collect his thoughts for a moment. Y'all's turn. McCurdy Tabernacle Choir. That was pretty good there. Swapping medication just to have a little fun. Sitting in the TV room, they got Matlock on. A little later, there's bingo down the hall. They're still in love, so they're winners after all. Y'all stand down. Y'all crushed it. Well, I wrote another verse. Yeah, but this one took a whole different turn. Well, I don't want to tell you the state I was in because I got to go back and play there. But honestly, their state bird's a goat. I mean, just a really backwards. Million people, 10 last names. Just played a place with an 8-tooth minimum. It was... Little ditty about Jack and Diane. Dropped out of junior high, now they live in a van. They were cooking meth to feed their desire. Jackie dropped a beaker and the trailer caught on fire. So, I'm getting old, but I am not Branson, Missouri old. I don't even know if Branson exists anymore. Because 50 years ago, old people were there. And, but I was nearly famous 2 or 3 times. Back in the early 90s, I had 4 albums and CDs as a songwriter that sold well over 9 dozen copies globally, so anyway, about 15 years ago, I go to Branson, and any of y'all remember Pam Tillis and the Gatlin Brothers Band? So I go to Branson, and I'm doing shows with Pam and Larry and his brothers, and we're staying at the Lawrence Welk Theater, and so. You know, I'm like 48 at the time, but I felt like a Jonas brother. I was like the youngest guy in town. It was awesome. And the audiences in Branson, there was a time when I was a child in the 60s where there were these crooners like Engelbert Humperdinck or Tom Jones. She's a lady. And women occasionally would throw their undergarments on stage for Engelbert Humperdinck and to a lot. I mean, it was a thing. It happened at every show. They'd just throw them. And so that's the same crowd. But the undergarments have changed, and I gotta tell you, when you hear Velcro ripping across the room, you're having a good night. It's Oh, speaking of the Bahamas, I've been going there every year for 13 years or whatever, and it's just a great gig. And one show a night, and the rest of the time is just mine. But their COVID policy was a little more stringent than ours. It went on for a couple of years after ours had gone through, and so I had to get a Bahamas health visa 2 years ago to go to the Bahamas. And then I had to take a COVID test the day before I came home, and if I failed it, they weren't going to let me come home. And I needed to mow my lawn because it's a 2-week gig, you know. And I'm gone for 15 days, and so. But then my opening act came up to me and he said, "Dude, have you read our insurance policy?" I went, "No." And he said, "You know, if we fail that COVID test," he said, "the Atlantis has to put us up for an additional 9 days and give us $500 a day." Yeah, I'm hugging people at the pool the next morning. I'm getting cans off empty tables, drinking the backwash, just praying. But alas, I passed and got to go home. And but those early days of COVID were weird. I'd never seen one of those digital thermometers. No, I'd not seen one before COVID. And you know, where some guy walks out of Walgreens and the manager's door at Walgreens and draws a bead on you like John Wick, you know. And it's, whoa, geez. I'd never seen that. And so I'm in line at Home Depot, and it was that time where 7 people could go into Home Depot and 7 people came out and 9 people could blah. And so I'm like fourth in line, and in my peripheral, I see this coming. I think, we got a shooter situation. I don't know what's going on. I got about 2 seconds to either fight or flight, and so I choose to embrace my inner Jason Bourne. And so, you know, it gets right about there, and so I do a Krav Maga thing. I deflect. And you can't deflect just by doing that. You got to get that head out of there, too. So I deflect, I redirect, I retrieve, step back, double tap right in the forehead. His temperature was normal. Twice. And I got 4 months probation. So I feel. And then shortly after I got home, I pull into a store, and a guy comes up to me and he said, "We've got to take your temperature, but our digital thermometer is broken, so we have to do this the old-fashioned way." And I said, "How old-fashioned?" He went, real old-fashioned." He said, "Could you unbuckle your pants?" I said, "Fella, I'm pumping gas. I don't even think you work here. Get the hell, you know." I won't let that happen a third time. I won't. I swear to God, I can't. I just can't. Yeah. But I told you that I was offered notoriety quite a few times. I had the talent to go right to the top and piss people off. Mid-man, I'd go right to the, and so I had fears. I had fears of success. And everyone's afraid of something. I mean, fear is just a part of human life, you know. And so I'll give you an example of how I would self-destruct. Yeah, remember Gordon Lightfoot? Yeah. If you could read my mind, love, you'd pack your bags and leave. I loved Gordon. When I started playing bars in Texas 30 years ago, when you learn copy tunes, If You Could Read My Mind's one of the first songs you ever learned. So anyway, I was asked to be the guitar player on a cruise ship about nearly 20 years ago, and every time the water would get rough, even though the people were safe, I'd start singing The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And, so they'd be nervous and full of anxiety and kind of wobbling. I'd go, "Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours?" When supper time came, the old cook came on deck. He said, fellas, it's too rough to feed you. Excuse me, sir, could you stop 7 p.m.? The main hatch rated in. He said, fellas, it's been good to know you. Hey, dude, stop playing that church bell chimed. It rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fridge. Stop it! Stop it! I was going, geez, it's a joke, people. I'm just kidding. I'll play y'all another song. The weather started getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed. Y'all's turn, if not for the courage of the fearless crew. Well, that went over like a Led Zeppelin as well. And so I had like 4 minutes left in the show. I wanted to end with a modicum of class. And so I closed the show out with near, far, wherever you are, I know that my heart will go on. And I never played that cruise line again. You're great. I was going to do a quick musical lesson. There are 2 prominent chords in the history of rock and roll. One is the power E chord. Hundreds of songs. Joe Walsh, Old Ozzy, 30th Special. And the other chord is the A chord, traditionally a blues chord. And I'll give you 3 examples over 3 decades of the A chord. Well, I got some change in my pocket going ding-a-ling-a-ling. Go, go, Johnny, go. My, once bitten, I'd move my finger one time. They're all the same song. And they come from the old Robert Johnson Delta Blues 1930 stuff, the old But those old blues songs were mean to women. Shot my baby 6 times. Shot her dead right down there on the floor. I wrote this song before I got my diagnosis, which is kind of funny, kind of makes it even more special now. Some of y'all remember the front of the Jethro Tull album, Aqualung. So I make a reference to Aqualung in this. But I'm playing I play poker with some great songwriters in Nashville, some guys' songs you've heard a million times. So one of them thinks he's real funny, and someone said, what do you hope when you die? And he said, I just hope the commode's flushed. So when people come in 3 days later, and I went, okay, great, good for you. And I got home, and metaphorically, I got to thinking about all the crap in my life. I got a basement full of junk. I got an attic full of junk. I got storage things in the backyard, buildings full of junk. And I don't want to leave that for anyone to clean up. You know, I need to have those garage sales I've wanted to have. So I needed to write this song, and I wrote it without a pick, so I'm destined to play it without a pick. Well, I hope the commode's flushed when I die. And I hope I've cleared my history. And wiped the old hard drive. And I need to burn my journals in a sacrificial fire. And I hope the commode's flushed when I die. 'Cause we've all done things we'd kinda like to hide. Anger, greed, gluttony, sloth, lust, envy, and pride. It's the human condition, stuck to us like glue. The journey of a lifetime, just trying to make it through. So I hope the commode's flushed when I'm gone. And I hope I'm not on Skid Row and look like Aqualung. And I hope I've chosen kindness, honor, and being strong. And I hope the commode's flushed when I'm gone. Well, I'd like to leave this world a righteous man, one who's learned his lessons and worked on his amends, whose affairs are in order. His trash is in the can, the sinks are clean, the lawn is mowed. That's Mother Nature's plan. So I hope the commode's flushed when I die. And if you're like me and need to make something right, well, as long as we're still drawing breath, that target's still in sight. So I hope the commode's flushed when I die. And I hope the commode's flushed when I... McCurdy's, y'all are spectacular. Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.